Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this special Fireside chat where we will be discussing career success with GSS, finding the perfect career fit. We're discussing a topic that is very close to all our hearts, career success. I am Yolande Hilton, and it's my pleasure to be your host for today's episode where we will reflect on the diverse paths that professional journeys. The world of careers is vast. It's a very dynamic landscape, and finding that perfect fit can be thrilling, and I must admit, it can also be a little scary. So, tonight we are delving into the heart of the matter career success with GSS, finding the perfect career fit. In a world where possibility seems endless, how do we really navigate through that myriad of choices? And that's why we're here tonight, because we're trying to discover what truly fulfills us. What are the key ingredients of a satisfying career? And these are questions that we will be exploring together. Within the global service sector, there is a misconception. People usually refer to it as the BPO industry, or they will just say that it is a call center. However, there are other segments. There are many roles that are there for us to explore, whether you want to look at the knowledge process outsourcing or ITO segments where roles exist, such as accounting, operations management, HR shared services, market research, cybersecurity, and the list goes on. Of course, you'll be able to explore that even further if you use our GSS career pathway framework, which is a career planning tool that starts off by allowing you to identify what do you really like, and then providing you with options based on that, showing you the different opportunities that exist. So whether you are just starting out in your professional journey, contemplating a career change, or looking at really enhancing your career path, this conversation is designed to provide you with key insights and practical tips. We have an incredible guest tonight, Rochelle James, who is the founder and CEO of the Caribbean Society of HR Professionals, and she brings a wealth of experience to us. She is a certified senior professional in human resources with a legacy of proven success in organizational operations and talent acquisition. She has led and managed HR functions for over 600 employees. And no, I did not stutter, over 600. So you know that she clearly knows her stuff. She also has experience managing various human resource functions, including recruiting, onboarding, trust compensation, employee recognition, performance management, health, safety, and wellness program. So clearly, all things HR. So you know that all things HR. So you know that you are in for a great time. I hope you have your pens and paper ready to take your notes, or we are in the new age, so maybe not the pen and paper, but you have your phone to jot down your notes or your word open. And so without any further ado, I welcome Rochelle so that we can delve into what is it that will allow you to have that career success that you desire.
Thanks for having me,
Hi,
Elon.
Rochelle. Welcome.
I'm happy to be
You
here.
are most welcome. So we're just going to jump right in. Can you, and I'm happy to have you. And I see the Santa, the Christmas trees, right? So of course, and I'm in my red in this Christmas season. We are preparing, of course, for the new year. And one of the things people may be preparing for is, where do I go in terms of my career? So, share
Mhm.
your thoughts on the importance of providing or finding the perfect career fit. Is there a perfect career?
Ah, so I that's a tricky question. I'll say yes and no because there's always going to be a gap, always going to be something that you want a little bit more of. So ideally, when we think of the perfect career, you want to think of that job, that role, not the organization, no, that job or that role that makes you feel fulfilled, You are growing, you are flourishing, and you're trying new things. So you're comfortable in your position, but also there are opportunities that will arise that make you feel challenged to be even better than you were last year.
Agreed, agreed. And why should job seekers really care about this path that they are setting out on?
So the job market has changed significantly from the days when baby boomers were going into work and even the generations before. Because what used to happen is you came of age, your parents decided that, listen, you need to do something with your life now. So you had to become an apprentice or you went somewhere to try out, and then eventually that became your career or that became your profession. So there was no precision with it. And as new companies formed, new opportunities did arise. That is how new jobs were created and new options were available. But right now, in the age that we're in the era that we're in, you cannot stumble upon your career. You actually have to plan for it. You have to prepare for it a little bit more than our parents or grandparents did.
Definitely agree. So I just wanted to pick your brain a little bit. Did you stumble upon your career path? How did you find what you are passionate about?
Oddly enough, my passion for HR took place when I was at UWE and I was participating in a course. So everybody had to pick their electives, and I selected HR as one of my elective courses.
Yeah.
And this was in my final year, and I had studied public sector management, and it was like a light bulb. I thoroughly enjoyed every element of that course, especially when persons were stressing about how difficult it was. It was a breeze for me, and breeze in the sense that the class was challenging, but the stuff that were expected of me, I enjoyed doing and learning. And that was the first hint. I still went into project management and other things, but eventually found my way back to HR and haven't regretted it since. And sometimes that is the path that you find yourself on as well. We might try a number of different things and then find ourselves back to that true love or that passion.
Thanks so much for sharing that. And I definitely agree. So it was, in fact, I almost want to tease you and say you stumbled upon it. You went into a different path, but you came right back home. And sometimes
Mhm.
that happened, right? My for me, it was actually a summer job that sparked the light bulb that, hey, training and development exists. Maybe that is something that I could do. And so you just never know when that little bug will hit that gives you that hint. So don't ignore it. And even if you don't go in right away, there are opportunities, right? So
Yes.
does it matter if you choose a job or career path that fits your personality or skills?
No. Um, and I'll use HR as the example. There are many people that have it to say, oh, if you're in HR, you have to be a people person. I know many introverts that do HR. They just play the role of an extrovert very well, right? So it has to do with, and sounds very cliche, is what you find joy in. So, when you were in high school, some of us would find joy in a particular class or a particular group of activities at school, especially if you were involved in extracurricular activities. There were some things that you liked more than others. You will find that the parts of your job today or the roles that you have been in today are the same things linked to what you enjoyed doing in high school and other areas of your life. So, the person who is an artist at some stage in their life demonstrated that capacity or that interest. An engineer is the same child that took apart the TV to figure out how it worked, or the new computer to figure out how it worked. So, it is having that realization, and it doesn't come easy. You probably need to identify a mentor or a coach, or take a moment to just reflect. What I did to clarify what my passion was and what my dream job would look like, what my dream career would look like, is actually sit down and document what were the tasks that I was doing in my former roles that I enjoyed. Like, what was the element of it that I really, it made me get up. I'd stay all night working and I'd be totally comfortable because it never felt like work. And then some of the things that I didn't like, roles that I didn't enjoy, activities, and not focusing on the job, the company, the persons you have to work with, the boss that is annoying you, but itemizing those things and treating them as separate. And then it is easier for you to pinpoint, okay, what functions align with these things that I like.
Okay. And what prompted you to actually create that plan? Was it, so I know I'm going to be guilty. I'm going to the end of the year, right? And we do that reflection. Was it
Yes.
something like that, or you just came to a point where let me
Mm.
sit down and think about this?
So
All
it
right.
was
So
twofold. It was the end of the year, yes, but also I was shifting jobs. So it was a point when I was working on a project. Project had come to an end, and they were looking at starting a new project. But the project was exciting, but I was not excited. And I took a moment to pause to say, okay, is this what I want to be doing with my life?
got you. So let's bring it back because you mentioned something a little earlier that is important, that some of the things we may be exposed to as a child or reflecting on our high school journey may actually be things that will help us as we craft our career. So, for example, you mentioned the engineer or the person who talks a lot in class who may become that lawyer, right? We never know.
Hmm.
But for someone who is just starting out, who may not have had that work experience, can they create a plan?
Oh,
Can they
definitely.
do something
And
similar to what you did in terms of
definitely
planning?
create a plan. I would say if you're just starting out, um, and I'm gonna coin what you used in your introduction. The BPO sector is the right place to start. And you have to select which BPO you're going into. I encourage it simply because it is a space where a lot happens. And you get to touch a number of different things. People think about it from a customer service perspective, but there's so many different layers and levels in those organizations that it is easy for you to get immersed and say, I wonder what else I want to do. That's one. Two, volunteer. So growing up, we were always encouraged in school to participate in extracurricular activities. And you see, the funny thing is, we don't notice that it is not because of resume building why you should participate in those activities. The core and essential reason why you need to participate in those activities is because you learn something about yourself. That is why internships are important. That is why volunteerism is important, because it is an opportunity for you to immerse yourself in so many things that you don't need to go on a trip around the world to do any soul searching to find yourself.
Got you. All right. So those moments when you perhaps would have been in key club or you're a prefect, those
Exactly.
things are teaching you some of those key competencies that you will need when you go into the job market, right? So how can persons really determine the best career fit for them? What are some, if you are just leaving high school, what, and based on what you know now, what are some of the things that you would have wanted someone to tell you?
Whew. Um, you don't need a profession. So when we were leaving high school, it was crucial for us to, okay, you need to know what you're going to study. And I may get a little bit of a beating for this, but you see that first degree, don't think of your first degree as life and death. you know, that first year of university, you can pivot. It's not the end of the world. You definitely can pivot. Um, what I would say to a younger version of myself and anybody else who is at that place, um, take some time to give yourself some grace, because as you get more exposed, you may change careers. And I know many persons who have changed careers multiple times. Even myself, being in HR is just so broad that initially I was only focused on strategy. Then I shifted only to recruitment. Now I'm in talent. And each phase of your life might present new things that will challenge you and interest you. Hope I answering your question. But my biggest word of advice is no pressure. Just choose something you will do well and enjoy doing, and then eventually it will lead to your passion.
I agree. So here, choose something that you like, that you do well, and it will lead to your passion. No, I remember, I don't want to age myself, right? Back in the day, the push for the profession. So I would have had those parents that would say, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief. But now the world is clearly your playground. So in terms of exploration, what about that factor of technology and how you can even use that to help to find your talent and discover who you are? Any thoughts about that?
So for the beauty of it now, there's so many tools and platforms available to persons younger than us, Yolan, that it is very easy for
No,
them
but
to
especially younger
identify.
than us. Geez.
It is easy for them to identify career paths. So a good example, and this is what I'd strongly recommend, take some time to look at which jobs are disappearing. There was a point in time where you would actually see an ad out for elevator operators, people who sit down and press elevator buttons to take you to the floor that you needed to go. That is obsolete now. And in that same phase, before degrees were crafted for social media and marketing, it was just PR and communications, right? So take some time to look at what roles are becoming available and what roles are disappearing before you jump into a degree or certification program. And also bear in mind that I mentioned it before, your first degree is a stepping stone. But there are always going to be opportunities to keep studying and keep yourself fresh. So if you went down the road and you did a degree in engineering, but then you ended up enjoying marketing. A perfect example of that is Dr. Terry Carell. Now, she studied medicine, but then she ends up in PR, communications, branding, total 360, or I should say total 180. Be prepared for those kinds of shifts and don't pigeonhole yourself, because there are many opportunities that will become available to you if you allow yourself to be open to them. So explore what programs are available, explore what roles and jobs are already out there. Right now, AI is like the next catchphrase. A couple months ago, it was the post pandemic era. Now everybody's talking about AI, and there are jobs specific to the AI space that you can prepare for and tool yourself for.
Agreed. So, you've been mentioning this facet of degree, and that in and of itself, right now, can sometimes be a little controversial because there are persons who believe you don't even need a degree. No, you can just do certifications. Do you want to speak a little bit about certifications and then bring it back to the GSS and the opportunities that may exist, for example, for persons who do not have that undergraduate degree?
After leaving high school, I think it is important for you to go into a formal environment of learning and training, whether it is to get a degree, whether it is to get a certification, whether you're going to go to classes at heart, whatever you're going to do. Why? You see, that space that prepares you for the beast that is the world of work or business ownership. So if you're deciding that you want to be an entrepreneur, that might be your path as well. But there is something that happens at college, something that happens at university, something that happens at that training institution that prepares you for the beast that is the world of work, that you cannot manufacture, you cannot get it online, You cannot get it through videos, and you cannot get it through a certification exam that you study or probably took a weekend course and went and did an exam and got. Once you are in the space, as the market evolves, as your interests evolve, as a company changes and demands more, that is the space for certification.
Definitely. And I know sometimes, especially for young persons, they want the information, but they're not even sure where to get it. So we're talking about no competencies and what type of certifications. But I
Mhm.
really don't know. I don't know who to speak to. What advice would you give to that person? I mean, some of these things we
So,
really do take for granted, but who is having the
yeah.
conversation with you?
All right. So there are three things that I think everybody needs, and they're hard to get, but you need a sponsor, a mentor, and a coach. Three separate things. Now, I like to use the example of Usain Bolt. Usain Bolt's coach was focused on his career as an athlete, right? He wasn't concerned about Usain Bolt, the man, the son, the family man, none of that. He was focused on getting him from point A to point B and what he needed to have and be prepared for or be healed from in order to do well as an athlete and break records. Good. So that's one. Two, the sponsor. The sponsor provided the resources and the access to get him to that end goal. And in order to identify the kind of certifications you need and all those other things, you need a sponsor. People who have gone there, understand, they're not going in the trenches with you day to day, but they're going to provide the access or the information. And access does not mean money. When I thinking sponsorship, what we're talking about is all right, there's a program at this institution that you can go and check out, and they're pointing you in that direction. It is now your responsibility to go there. And that is how your mentor now prepares you, because your mentor is concerned about the full person in every element and aspect, not just your professional self, but your personal self. Are you in the right space in your life to take on this program? Are you in the right space in your life? Is it practical now for you to make this career shift or career change? So, probably not the answer your viewers were hoping for, but that is my best advice. Try and find a sponsor, a mentor, a coach, and also bear in mind that your coach does not have to be in contact with you. There are many people I have seen that use videos from Oprah Winfrey or Steve Harvey or Tyler Perry to coach them along a particular path, right? So you want to own Yolande Hilton Studios in in Jamaica. Then you're going to watch some Tyler Perry shows and videos and inspirational material to understand how he did it and what his path was, so that you could walk that path and avoid some of those pitfalls.
Thanks, Rochelle. You know that you preempt my question because that is exactly where I was going to go. So I love that idea of the sponsor, the coach, and the mentor, and that advice because we're always on our phone. Let's admit it, right? So
Yeah.
using that time even for informal coach to go and look at those videos from persons who have done it before. Listen to podcasts and so on YouTube. But bringing it even further to home, you mentioned sponsors with resources, and it's not necessarily access to money. Where are some of the places that we can find sponsors?
So you don't have one sponsor for your entire journey. So that's the first thing. And at one stage, my sponsor was someone who was in the HR space and could say to me, all right, what is it that you want to do? And that's the other thing. If you're going to a sponsor, you can't be unsure of yourself. You need to know what you're planning to do. So Usain Bolt did not go to Puma to say, I'm just trying to do a thing. No, no, no. I'm going to break records. I'm going to win medals. Yes. Okay. Since that is your goal, I'm on board. I see you doing the work. So I will jump on this train. it's the same concept. So I had a sponsor and I said, this is what I want to do with my career, and this is how I want to show up in the HR space. Okay. My sponsor said two things. One, and all the research I did, looked at my coaches, looked at my mentors, I was hearing go and do another degree. Had just finished my master's too, nothing related to HR, both of them, go and do another degree. That was the advice I was getting. And my sponsor said, no, you've studied all of this already. Most of the content or the material is there, and you've been working in this field now for X amount of time. You don't need another degree. Go and get she gave me three certifications and said, go and look them up. And that was it. The next time my sponsor spoke to me, it was me sharing, oh, I had acquired this certification. So the thing is, put yourself out there, try to make the right connections, go into the right spaces and places where you can connect with these people. And you might be wondering, all right, where am I going to find them? Even on this session tonight, there may be persons that are commenting in the chat that you might be watching the video on LinkedIn later on, and you're reading the message and you realize that they're further along the path than you are. Message them and reach out. LinkedIn is the perfect place to find sponsors and guidance.
And I want you to know that some of the sponsors right under your nose, because you mentioned networking. Let me tell you, even in church, there are persons who have experienced that if you just ask them for a minute, can I get 5 minutes to speak to you, one of your old teachers? And I find that sometimes, we may be a little shy to ask questions, right? But there is the opportunity to do so. And you mentioned LinkedIn. LinkedIn is perfect
Yeah.
for that. And I'm going to give you a major key, right? I'm going to give you the secret now for the persons who are listening. There is the GSS Career Pathway Framework that is available. If you go to that website, it will show you the pathway for the BPO, KPO, and ITO. And when you click on any of those roles that you are interested in, it tells you what the functions are, um, what courses you need to do, how you transition from one role to the next. It even tells you compensation. I don't even want to say it too loud, right? So, all of that information is there at your fingertips, and it is free. What is FR? It's free. It is there for you to
Ooh,
access, and you also have the
I like that
GSS
language.
Talent Hub. It's free. All of that is free. They even give you a free test to look on your personality. So, my GSS career pathway.gov.jm, free, wonderful information that is there for you on multiple careers. You have the major key, right? So I hope you are writing and you will go and look. So you mentioned the sponsor, the coach, and the mentor, and I made sure to write it on. See, I have my paper and pen too. So I'm the writing girl. If you don't want to write,
Mhm.
type it, right? Um, what advice do you have for persons who find themselves a little lost? What are some of the ways that maybe you would encourage them to find that path? So you mentioned, when you're going to the sponsor, being clear on what it is that you want to do. How do you really find that clarity? Is it as simple as it sounds?
It is not. Um, my first word of advice is, well, this part is simple. Take a day, take a vacation day. That's the first thing. Take a vacation day, a me day. Sit down with yourself. And remember that activity that I referenced about writing down the things, the activities, the roles that you've actually enjoyed, the tasks that you've enjoyed, the skills that you have that you enjoy. And then looking at the things, okay, I don't like talking to irate customers. If you know you don't like talking to irate customers, but you like problem solving, you write down problem solving. You know, not liking customer interaction, and start that process of documentation. Then when you have that in play, I'm going to put the GSS team on the spot because that is one avenue that you can reach out to. Call them, ask them for some guidance, and help them point you in the right direction. And you can even call our team at C Sharp as well. But there are many avenues, but you have to start off with that process of self-reflection. And why I said take a day, most times we sit down and probably you're even here watching and you're saying, all right, let me just write down these things. You kind of have to sit down and process it. It's not as simple as that. You do it in the morning, you go back to it mid afternoon, and if you're a praying person, you pray over it in the evening. But you have to take some deliberate steps to document these things. Write it, type it in your phone, type it on a spreadsheet. I have a friend that uses Excel for everything. Type it in an Excel sheet and weigh all of those things. And you can use ChatGPT or any other AI tool, and the things that you like, what roles can I find that cover these skills? And you can get some suggestions there too. So if you don't want to talk to somebody, you can talk to AI.
To say talk to Chatty, talk to Chat GPT or Bard. Chatty is your friend.
Yeah.
All right, but I'm a girl who love to keep it real. And the reality is sometimes what is on your heart is not necessarily where you will start. So for example, I remember for years on my development plan writing, I want to go in HR, I want to go in HR, and nobody not really taking me on, right? Nobody pay me any mind. If you find yourself in that type of situation, how can you really use it to propel you to your dream job or career path? So you know what's
You
in on
said,
your heart. So you want to go, you want to do HR, but the reality is there are only so many, and I'm using HR because it's kind of
mhm,
hard to get
mhm,
into sometimes. There are only so
mhm.
many places you can get into. What do you do?
All right. It's on your heart. You have the skill and the talent for it, but you don't. In other words, you're not getting no boss yet. You haven't gotten your big opportunity, right? I'm gonna use something you said, right? Nobody's paying you any mind. Sometimes you're waiting to get the opportunity and the pay, and you're not going to get it. And that's just the truth. Because the market is so competitive now, meaning the business space, not just the job market, the business space on a whole. So if you decide, okay, I'm gonna try consulting, it's gonna be the same thing. No one is going to go into uncharted territory with somebody who has not been tested and proven and tried. And so you may need to do some things for free, which is also a taboo word. But you may have to say, okay, I am going to volunteer 1 day a week in the HR department. They're not going to pay me. There's no additional duties. My job description will not be reassessed. My role will not be reclassified. But I'm going to do this so that I have the knowledge and the experience. What are you getting out of it? Can you change my title? You don't have to change my salary. And I've done this. You don't have to change my salary, change my job title to say customer service representative and HR clerk, please, and I will come and work in HR, do the overtime. So, taboo, yes, it is not the world we live in now, but that is my advice because I've seen it work.
Well, you know what? My favorite phrase is short term sacrifice for long term gain. So if you know where it
Amen.
is that you are going and why it is that you are doing it, look at it as the short term sacrifice. And sometimes it's not even the role, but you are developing the competencies. So now when you're updating your resume, you can now add those specific items. So analyzing those job descriptions. If you go on
Yeah.
LinkedIn, they have all the roles and you want to be an accountant, look on that job description. Okay,
Hmm.
I have this, I have this, I don't really have this one, how am I going to get it? And even if it's not in your substantive role, as you're mentioning, Rochelle, volunteer, and you can help to now craft that resume that you want to take you into the next stage, right?
Hmm.
So for persons who find themselves in a career or job that they do not enjoy, what advice do you have for them?
Well, if you
I
do
know,
not
right?
if you don't enjoy it, but it is paying the bills that happen to the best of us, and you have to make a calculated decision because you have to and I firmly believe this, every job you go into or every venture you go into, you should know from day one what you want to achieve in that space and how long you expect to take to achieve it. It might not go exactly that way, but you may decide, all right, while in this role, these are the experiences I need to have in this organization. So by the end of 5 years, by the end of 1 year, by the end of 2 years, by the end of 3 years, this is what I should have learned, one, and this is what I should have contributed. So I'm going to take this sales role, given that it is 100% commission and my situation is not the best. I'm going to continue. And I do not like the boss, I do not like the customers. I need to meet this target. And after I've met this target, then I'm preparing for my exit.
So it's a part of it, and we haven't used that word, but the word I want to draw on is attitude. So is there a call for an attitude check?
Yeah, man, definitely attitude check. So you almost have to treat it like a mission. So if you get, and we've all been there, it is nothing strange. You're going, you don't like the environment, you don't really like the people, you don't really like the job, but it is paying the bills and it is paying the bills very well. Treat it like a mission. Treat it exactly like a
And I
mission
love
and
that.
try to find the pockets of goodness that you can at work. And so for some of us, it is one coworker that is your work friend. So every day you go to work with your work friend, find something to laugh about. There are persons I have seen that work in toxic environments and they wear headphones to work, or they take good long vacations to make sure that they're fully charged up to go and jump into the environment again, until you have officially said, okay, I've met these targets. Don't jump to leave just because you're unhappy or uncomfortable with your job or the work.
And I love that. And I think it goes back to that what you said about being purposeful, being intent, and having that mission. Because sometimes our attitude actually comes out in our behavior, even when we think that we're
Yeah.
trying to behave ourselves, right? But one
Hmm.
thing I love to share with persons is, even if you are in a space where you are not happy, if you underperform, you're actually hurting yourself. You're not
Yeah.
hurting your employer, because that underperformance is preventing you from moving to your next level. And so, if
Hmm.
you can think about that mission, that one thing that will power you to go on, even in those difficult days, it is important to use that as the motivation to continue whilst you are planning. So that other word is a big word that has been coming out tonight, the importance of planning. So, what
Hmm.
advice do you have for persons who are looking to transition into a new area, into a new field? So, I've now discovered I've started out in accounting. Boy, this numbers thing, I can't take and see one more number. I need to go talk to some people. I think that is where I should be, and I want to move
Hmm.
on. But I've been doing this for 5 years. Can I really move, or am I just stuck?
Move. My advice to you is move.
You're
Make
not
sure that
actually,
you have
you're
achieved.
not
Yeah,
actually.
yeah, move. You make sure though, and going back to the previous question, make sure you fulfilled your mission. The worst thing, and we've seen it where people have worked somewhere for a number of years, and then when they put together their resume, you see like the last couple of years, accomplishment, achievement, success, and then they have this one organization they worked for and they have contributed nothing. There is nothing to report. It's just start date, end date. Make sure that is not you and that is never on your resume. That is not on any document that you prepare. So move, but make sure you've accomplished whatever you set out to accomplish before you leave.
Okay. So stamp that excellent, that ensure you have that stamp of
Yeah,
excellence
man.
anywhere that you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Hmm.
So, um, go ahead. You look like you were committed with something, or you
I
are
was going
good.
to say, and the reason why I put it that way, don't ever think of treating any employer the way they treat you or the way they deserve. Same is true if you're in any other line of business and don't treat any customer, don't treat any client the way they deserve. And the reason why is we're all so interconnected. And I'll use the example of I was in a space where I was working with a client and someone was frustrated in their role. And the way she handled the team, the way she handled her colleagues was just awful. And then she found herself in a position now looking for work. But because she was already so frustrated in that role and it trickled over into every other relationship, no one really wanted to take a chance because you had that experience or that encounter before. So yes, it might be an unpleasant experience or environment, I should say. Yes, you are frustrated with your job right now, and this is definitely not what you want to be doing, but it is what you're doing, and you are being paid for it. So do it well. Leave with some milestones and some successes that you can honestly be proud of. So when you leave, they're gonna miss your work.
Got you. Definitely agree with that. Put yourself in a place to be missed, right?
Yeah,
So that
man.
when you
Yeah, man.
leave, they can say, boy, I remember when Rochelle was here and Rochelle did XYZ, and they're
Hmm.
speaking about it even years later because of the
Yeah.
great impact that you made,
Hmm.
right? So, what are some of the resources that persons can use to help them find their perfect career fit? So, you want to just
I said
remind
in the
us of
message.
some of those tips that you had for the plan.
Yeah, man. So we can go back to those, but first place, right now, your signature line says Insights and GSS Career Advisor. They're career advisors and career coaches that are open, available, accessible online. That's the first place I'd send them. Try and find a career coach or a career advisor. You might not be able to afford a myriad of sessions, but there's one thing, being Caribbean is so much fun because we have access through our government, through CARICOM, through other spaces to coaches and career advisors. So use them up.
But Rochelle, see the career advisor right here for free on that
Yes.
same career pathway framework that I gave it to before. So you
Mhm.
can go on the site, you can submit it invites you to do that personality test first. Then
Mhm.
it will ask you to upload your resume. And it does not have to be a perfect resume because that is where the career advisor comes in to look on your resume, look at precisely where it is that you want to go and provide you with feedback, which can be we can arrange calls so we can have virtual sessions. There can be that analysis of your resume that will be sent to you, and it is free for you. There is no additional cost. So I know sometimes
Yeah.
we may think, boy, this is going to be expensive, and should I really bother with this thing? And here it is that you have this platform that is providing you with that opportunity for free. So I love that you gave that advice and that I can chime in and say,
Mhm.
hey, there is that chance to get that information that you need.
Because not all support comes at
All
a
right.
cost, and
So
we just
we
need to
have
do our research.
say that again for them. Not all what?
Not
It doesn't come at a
all,
what?
it doesn't always come at a cost. Not all support comes at a cost. And you just have to look around and research.
Hmm. So, what are some, I mean, in closing, if you think about what are the key things you think someone should take away from this conversation about finding that perfect career fit, what would it be? What is
Remember
the
to take,
one thing you want them to take away from the conversation?
all right, the one thing I'd ask them to take away when we're finished here send an email or call GSS. Yeah, that's my advice.
Well, I hope that we can get that email flashing across the not the email, the website, flashing
Hmm.
across the screen for us. There we go. Visit the GSS Career
Yes.
Pathway Framework at mygsscareerpathway.gov.jm. If you are on LinkedIn, just type in GSS Talent Hub. If you are on IG, Instagram, type in GSS. What? See, lovely technology, right? So
Yeah, man.
that detail is here. Definitely appreciate that. So it is a journey to find that career fit, that perfect career fit. um there is a saying that says, bloom where you are planted. Any thoughts on that? Bloom where you are planted. I think I
Um,
have some new
I-
thoughts on it as I also mature in my career. So I really want to hear what you have to say about blooming where you're planted.
you can bloom where you are planted, but remember that when it comes to your career, you're in a flower pot. So you can
Mm.
bloom, but you can move. That's my advice. To be honest,
And I'd
going
go
back to
even
what I said
further than
earlier, yeah, I'd go back to
no,
what
but
I
I
was
was saying
sharing
you're right
earlier.
because go ahead.
Yes. It's important for you to bear in mind that you can transition in your career, but ensure that the legacy you're leaving along the way is one that is remarkable. It is something that persons can um pay attention to. You'll be remembered, not because you're trying to make yourself great, but because you're trying to leave pockets of greatness along the way.
I love that. So, based on our discussion today, what I've taken away, all experiences count, legacy is important, planning is important. So, even if you are not where you want to be today, you can put a plan of action in place that will help you to get to where you want to go. And finally, the importance of a sponsor, a coach, and a mentor. The coach who understands your specific area that can give you guidance, the sponsor who will be able to help with resources and access, and of course, your mentor who is concerned about you, the whole being. And so, if you can find those three, it will help you to walk along that path to finding that career fit. It is something that evolves, it is not static. So it's important for you
Mhm.
to continue to learn, be open to experiences as the environment changes. And so, with that being said, Rochelle, are there any final thoughts from you?
No, I think you summed it up perfectly. And I look forward to hearing the success stories from those who have tuned in and also from those who have connected with the team at the Talent Hub.
Thanks so much. And thank you for sharing your insights with us. It has been a great conversation, and I'm sure people left or viewers left with some nuggets that they will take away as they craft their plan for 2024. Because, of course, the time is now, we have a few more days, right? Until we welcome January 1st. I can't believe we're saying that. It feels like the year just started, but it's the
Yeah,
perfect
man.
time to be quiet and reflect.
Mhm.
Right. So, as we close off this evening, please tell us what you would like to discuss in future live sessions on the Talent Hub. You can share your feedback and recommendations by emailing communications underscore GSS at jamcorp.com. See it flashing across your screen or sending us a message on any of our social media platforms. Follow us on the GSS Talent Hub on LinkedIn for an industry job board, career resources, including videos, blogs, and infographics. So if you enjoy this conversation today, it's a chock code full of tips that are there for you on the GSS Talent Hub on LinkedIn. So please go ahead and ensure that you go and follow that link. Sign up on my GSS Career Pathway Framework. By now, you should be convinced. So, to learn about career pathways in the GSS, complete a free RASEC self-assessment test to help you figure out the best career fit based on your personality, and to speak to a career advisor for free. Jump on that website. Continue to follow us on social media and share the link to this session with your family and friends. This Christmas is a time of giving, so give them this insight that will also help them as they prepare to move into the next level. So thank you for joining us today. Happy New Year when it comes, Merry Christmas when it comes, and looking forward to the great success that you will have in 2024. Have a great night, everyone.